This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
I heard the decision in my staff meeting this morning at like 10 a.m. and burst into tears.
An emotional day for many, including LGBTQ Americans, after the Supreme Court's decision that employers can't fire them over their orientation or identity. It was a 6-3 decision that it continues the expansion of LGBTQ rights in our country. But RTV6's Cornelius Hawker shows you why the fight is not over for advocates seeking protection for gay and transgender Americans outside of the workplace.
ACLU of Indiana advocate and educator Kit Malone says the SCOTUS decision affirming gay and transgender workers are protected by federal law is a good start, but more needs to be done.
Housing discrimination is still left open, and discrimination in public accommodations is still left open.
This decision, while a good one, is also a stark reminder for LGBTQ Americans. You don't have some of the same rights your straight, cisgender neighbors have.
That's why we're asking lawmakers to support the Equality Act, to really just put this issue to rest and to affirm that nationwide it's illegal to discriminate against LGBTQ people.
The Equality Act would amend the Civil Rights Act to prevent discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity in several areas, including employment, housing, public accommodation, and public education.
Gay people can be denied housing, and it is legal in most of Indiana to do that, to deny housing, say to deny a lease, to pass over for a mortgage, to deny emergency housing and shelters.
Currently, many of these issues are left up to states. So some cities and counties create their own LGBTQ anti-discrimination ordinances. But that too causes problems.
LGBTQ people may be protected in Indianapolis, but they may drive, just south to say Greenwood and find themselves in a place where those protections don't exist.
That's why advocates like Kit say they're going to keep fighting to protect people and to honor the lives of those like Amy Stevens, a transgender woman. She was one of the plaintiffs in this Supreme Court case who lost her job as a funeral director when she let it be known she planned to transition. She died last month.
I just want to lift up that this is an amazing addition to her legacy. As someone who fought for equality, because I've met Amy, and just knowing that she was able to get there is such a big deal.
And that was Cornelius Hawker reporting. The Equality Act he mentioned passed the House of Representatives last year with bipartisan support. It's now in the Senate where it has not been taken up, and President Trump's administration has said they do not support it. Now to the forecast. It's a warm night with temperatures in the 60s at this hour. Kevin joining us now, tracking the warmest temperatures of the year. Hey, Kevin.
And they're on the way. We've not hit 90 degrees officially in Indianapolis. That will happen later in the week. The humidity will be slow to return, though, so it'll take a little longer for that. And we march on. Our dry streak continues. Tomorrow, 84 degrees, the average high 82. As we break it down, first thing in the morning, comfortable, 61. The wind will be light. We'll already push 80 by the time we get to noon, and an afternoon high temperature right at 84, as I mentioned. Still to come, we'll talk about the warmest temperatures when those arrive, our next best chance for rain, and of course Father's Day within the 7-day forecast. We'll break that down for you as well coming up.
See you in just a few minutes, Kevin. Thank you. Now to the latest on the COVID-19 pandemic from the Indiana State Department of Health. 2,251 people have died from the virus in Indiana. 11 newly reported deaths happened between May 13th and yesterday. More than 335,000 people have been tested in the state. Just over 11% have tested positive. According to Johns Hopkins, more than 116,000 people across the U.S. have died from COVID-19. Several states continue to see increases in cases. ABC's Reno Roy reports some officials are pressing pause on reopening plans.
As the country attempts to get back to so-called normal life, health experts are warning people to be very cautious. At least 21 states and Puerto Rico seeing a rising number of COVID-19 cases, including Florida.
We definitely do want to sound the alarm. We are seeing an uptick, particularly in the age demographic 18 to 35, and particularly after Memorial Day weekend.
Miami beaches opened just days ago, and now officials there have delayed the next phase of reopening. The state has seen a steady climb for nearly 2 weeks, hitting its highest single day of reported cases over the weekend. During the same time, Texas also saw a record number of hospitalizations. Restaurants opened to 75% capacity in Houston last week. Now, officials are considering another stay-in-place order after some workers tested positive for the virus. Utah and Oregon are hitting pause on their plans to reopen, but other states are moving forward. Hard-hit New Jersey now allowing non-essential retail and outdoor dining.
I've been a loyal customer here, and I don't think that we've had outdoor seating like this before. So we had the quarantine, but here's a new opportunity.
Meantime, the FDA has revoked emergency authorization for 2 malaria drugs, Hydroxychloroquine and Chloroquine, saying they're unlikely to be effective in treating the virus and could cause serious side effects. President Trump has for months touted the drugs. He says he's also taken hydroxychloroquine himself.
I took it and I felt good about taking it. I don't know if it had an impact, but it certainly didn't hurt me. I feel good.
The FDA also saying the drugs reduce the effectiveness of the drug remdesivir when given together. The drugs can no longer be put in the federal stockpile and distributed to states to help battle COVID-19. However, doctors can still prescribe them because they are approved for treatment of other health conditions. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Indiana has not reported a spike in new cases like several other states have. There are some concerns that could still happen, however, especially after the final stage of reopening in July. We asked an epidemiologist to weigh in.
It's just something we're going to have to keep looking at with the public health data that comes in. And hopefully, like I said, if we were to see an increase, some other measures would be taken to encourage more social distancing moving forward, because we don't want to get back to the same spot we were in back in March.
We asked the governor's office what is being done to prepare for a potential spike in new cases and what restrictions could be put into place if that happens. We will let you know when we get a response here. Free COVID-19 testing in Indiana is now available to anyone who lives or works in the state, not just people with symptoms or in high-risk groups. To register for an appointment, call this number. It's 888-634-1116, or you can go to lhi.care/COVID testing. Again, testing is free, but if you have insurance, you're asked to bring that information with you. The death of a man in a retention pond in Greenfield is being called a tragic accident tonight. Police describe the victim as elderly and blind. They say he drowned in a neighborhood pond near Davis Road and State Road 9. Investigators were called to the scene around 6 o'clock this evening after family members could not find the man. 4 days after being arrested, an Indiana state representative is stepping down from the legislature. Dan Forrestal says he wants to focus on his mental health. This is a booking photo and video from last year related to charges filed against Forrestal in August: impersonation of a public servant, resisting law enforcement, and operating a vehicle while intoxicated. Police arrested him again last week on preliminary charges of battery on a public safety official, resisting law enforcement, and disorderly conduct. Forrestal released a statement today saying, in part, quote, "We need to work together to shatter the stigma around mental health issues in the state of Indiana and address them with the same treatment and philosophy as physical health issues," end quote. He represented House District 100 and already announced in February that he would not seek re-election. After weeks of protests around the nation following high-profile cases of deadly use of force by police, including here in Indianapolis, Mayor Joe Hogsett has announced new steps that the city is taking toward reforming justice and public safety in Marion County. RTV6's Cameron Riddle shows you what that plan involves and what an activist thinks about the road ahead.
Anyone paying attention knows this is a defining moment in our city and in our nation's history.
Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett says a new partnership between the city of Indianapolis and the NYU School of Criminal Law will essentially create a study of the city, bringing together community input, dialogue, and data to create a more in-depth picture of what Indianapolis needs. The mayor says this effort is not just another study, but rather a deeper look at the contributing issues in racial disparities, including in health, education, and housing. Hogsett says that data is relevant to where public safety fits in.
I realize that on paper, that may sound bureaucratic and academic, but it won't be. It can't be. Because the ultimate goal here isn't to analyze, but to act.
Jessica Louise of Indy 10 Black Lives Matter is optimistic about the plan and hopes it leads to a true reform of IMPD and public safety, creating a new type of policing where sending a police officer isn't always the default answer in a call for help.
Minneapolis, who was at the epicenter of the George Floyd incident, they've already begun that process, and they've already started the process of saying, hey, we need community members who are trained, informed, and well aware of what's going on to respond to these crises so that we can start to rely less on police who have a higher chance of responding with excessive force when called to the scene.
In Indianapolis, Cameron Riddle, RTV6.
Well, the mayor also announced the city will be reviewing the actions and response from IMPD during the peaceful protests and violent riots that happened over the past few weeks. He says that review is independent of the investigations happening internally at IMPD and in the prosecutor's office. Blue Indy cars are no longer on the road around the city, and their designated parking spots are empty. Now the city is asking for input on what to do with those 89 charging spaces and the infrastructure left behind. Leaders are looking for ideas that do not require additional funding. The Blue Indy electric cars ended service in March after 5 years due to a lack of users. Suggestions will be accepted through August 14th. For more information, go to our website, theindychannel.com. Next, NBA veteran and Indianapolis native George Hill helps unveil a new school that aims to provide much more than education to families in need. And a little later, why you may not have received your stimulus check yet and how to help get answers and help.
Days. Visit your local Hyundai dealer today. This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
New at 11, giving back. Indy's own George Hill helped kick off a new beginning for him by her. That stands for helping improve mankind by healing every race. Today, the foundation launched its new Collegiate School for the Arts on the Near East Side, all part of a campaign to raise some $10 million. The foundation is co-founded by retired IMPD detective Harry Dunn and his wife Michelle. It offers a combination of social and health services with the goal of addressing racial and economic disparities and healing. Sports director Dave First caught up with George about the program and his role in the mission.
It's called the Him by Her Collegiate School for the Arts. George Hill, a former Pacer, now Milwaukee Buck, is one of the partners in this is a really cool idea. Grand opening today. How'd it go?
It went pretty good. Like you said, it was the grand opening today, the ribbon ceremony, to open these doors, just to be a part of someone, the Dunn family, Harry and his wife, Michelle, have done a tremendous job laying the groundwork and the footwork to this, to be a part of them and their vision. And my vision is something that's remarkable for this inner city and something that's much needed.
K through second grade, marginalized families need a boost. It's free for the kids, though. You get them here, they're good to go, right?
Free for the kids. The only price they have to do is wake up in the morning and bring their kids to school. So that's not too much to ask. We're asking you to make that contribution effort, and we'll take care of the rest.
Basketball, we'd love to see you guys playing basketball. A lot going on in the world. I know you were part of the very peaceful march yesterday here downtown.
My biggest thing is I'm a human first. Coach Jordan from Butler, the head coach, said it best. He said, before I'm a coach, I'm a father. Before I'm a coach, I'm a husband. And that's the same for me. Before I'm a player, I'm a man. There's so much in this world that's going on that's negative to be worried about a basketball game. So I'm a firm believer of that. Players may think differently, but if they're ready to throw this ball up in the air, my competitive side will kick right in. But I know there's more to life that we need to focus on than playing a ball.
There are some that would say that you guys getting back to basketball and playing might amplify the opportunity for you guys to talk about this.
I think playing personally, and this is just my opinion, getting back to basketball just puts a Band-Aid on it. It pushes it off to the side to leave us to talk about it another day.
Kick the can down the street.
I think it needs to be talked about now. I think there's action that needs to be put in right now. It's not put in after basketball season. It has to come before that.
And again, it's called the Him by Her Collegiate School for the Arts. Enrollment now until the fall. Come check it out.
All right, thanks, Dave, for that. As the pandemic continues, many people are still struggling to make ends meet. WRTV is working together with Kroger and you to help our neighbors in need. Now through Sunday, you can round up your grocery bill or select a donation amount of your choice when you check out at 46 participating Kroger locations. The money will go directly to Second Helpings, which specializes in addressing hunger in our community. Today, we caught up with a customer who decided to make a donation.
They asked me, and I didn't even know it was an option beforehand, but I like these opportunities to easily give. So anytime that you can make a difference in a natural going about your day, it's like, why not?
RTV6 and the Scripps Howard Foundation will match up to $12,000 in donations. You can also donate by going to the indychannel.com/feeding Hoosiers. Coming off a great day here, and we're just ready for more of it as we are just days away from the official start of summer. Let's get our Storm Team 6 forecast with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory. Hey, Kevin.
And Mark put another check mark by today's date, another dry day. We've really turned things around. May was very wet, over 7 inches of rainfall. But if you look at just the last 17 days, 3 out of the last 17 days, we've had measurable rainfall. That's it. This month, just over an inch of rain. We'll wait a while longer before our next chance of rain. That will come as we get to the weekend, so you may need to water. Tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, all expected to be dry. And this feeds on itself. It's kind of a little cycle. The drier the ground, the more efficiently it will heat up, and our temperatures then begin to climb. And you'll see that for sure. Temperatures right at 90 degrees Thursday. We should be into the low 90s for the first time in Indianapolis this year. I know many surrounding areas have cracked the 90-degree mark, but Indy will join the club later in the week. Tomorrow, lots of sunshine. The wind out of the east, rather light. Temperature hits 84 for the afternoon high. Mid-80s, Terre Haute, Columbus on south. Now, we go from mild, where we've been. We've had, we had both weekend days in the 70s. We hit 80 officially late today. But Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, temperatures continue to climb. And there you go, on your Friday into the low 90s. And that's a dry stretch continuing. As far as the humidity, remember I said it will lag behind. It increases a bit, but it's really Saturday and Sunday that the dew point temperature, which is more of a constant measure of humidity in the atmosphere, climbs enough that you'll say, okay, it's humid once again. During the day Wednesday, 87 in Lafayette, Frankfort, and Anderson. Keep sliding to the south. Temperatures change a little, not a lot. Everybody generally middle to upper 80s. We'll all share in lots of sunshine. 88 in Bedford and Seymour. And it just opens the door to the even warmer temperatures as we move to the end of the week. The chance for thunderstorms is there Saturday, a little more likely for widespread shower and thunderstorm activity on Father's Day at 89. That's our next best chance. Saturday morning, you see the green of some rain kind of drifting to the south and east through the day, and then we'll have another round, it looks like, on Sunday or Father's Day. 7-day forecast, put it together for you. Temperatures a little bit warmer each day. Peaking Friday and Saturday. First chance for thunderstorms Saturday. Father's Day, scattered thunderstorms around 89. And we cool back down a little bit as we get to early next week. Looking beyond the 7-day forecast, temperatures may sit at or a little below average. 82 is average. Mark?
All right, Kevin, thanks for the update there. As of today, Indiana casinos are allowed to reopen under the governor's Back on Track plan. There have been concerns over how casinos could operate safely with people continuously touching slot machines, cards, and money. Our Brad Brown shows you what's changed to help protect gamblers, dealers, and everyone in between.
For the past 12 weeks, Indiana's casinos have sat empty. But on Monday morning, the sounds of gambling were alive and well. In Anderson, a steady crowd was already in the door at 9 a.m. as Harrah's Hoosier Park is getting back in business. Plenty of noticeable changes at every angle. Upon walking in, guests go through a temperature sensor during their ID check. Anyone with a fever will be sent away. Social distancing markers keep reminders of staying 6 feet apart. Casinos are capped at 50% capacity. That means chairs only set up at every third or fourth machine, and many of the consoles are simply out of service for now. At the table games, Caesars Gaming has all of their staff wearing face masks, extra sanitizing of chips, cards, chairs, and tables, and at a short glance, slightly more than half the customers wearing masks as well.
And they're off.
Over in Shelbyville, it's the first day of the horse racing schedule at Indiana Grand. Thoroughbreds on the track for the first time, more than 2 months behind schedule. No fans in the stands. That will be the case until at least July 4th. It could also give a bit of a boost to Indiana's sports betting numbers. Tens of millions of dollars in revenue have disappeared with no major sports over the past 3 months. Outside Indiana Grand, the line to get in reached 50 deep by mid-afternoon. More than 20 minutes wait to get in with the same temperature checks in place. Once inside, customers will see limits put on the number of players that can sit at certain games. Blackjack and other card games like Baccarat and 3-card poker have only 3 seats available. 4 players max at the roulette tables, and only 6 can work the rail at craps, all to keep social distancing in place. Players are not required to wear masks, but casinos in other states have implemented this rule. It's clear that there is some pent-up demand among gamblers in central Indiana. How much they're willing to spend, that remains to be seen. But for Indiana's casinos, any play is better than no play at all. Working for you, Brad Brown, RTV6.
Beautiful jeweler.
This is RTV6 News at 11. Working for you.
Tens of millions of Americans across the country have not received their stimulus checks yet. Scripps reporter Alicia Nieves shows why the IRS is having trouble getting money to some people and what to do if you're one of those still waiting.
As Congress mulls over the possibility of another stimulus package with the idea of a second wave of stimulus checks, the House Ways and Means Committee estimates 30 to 35 million Americans are still waiting on their stimulus money from the CARES Act.
Let's make sure that we don't lose focus on the people that didn't get the payment from the first branch.
Bob Probasco is a CPA who has followed activity with stimulus checks since they started going out in April. In particular, all of the issues the IRS has had in getting the money into taxpayers' hands.
There's just a number of different problems. People had old bank account information on their tax return, and then they changed their bank account, but the IRS doesn't have the new one. Payment went to the bank, it'll have to be returned, and then a paper check will go out.
The IRS attempted to speed payments up in May by sending out prepaid debit cards to 4 million people. But
there were big problems with that. We saw tax representatives, CPAs, lawyers, who people came to and said, I got this, and they weren't sure that that was legitimate.
The cards were sent in barely marked envelopes that caused so many to think they were fake, so the IRS had to issue a press release reminding people the, quote, plain envelope from Money Network Cardholder Services is not junk mail. And it had to issue guidance for those who destroyed or threw out their debit cards, saying they can now call this 1-800 number to be issued a new card. Anyone else who hasn't received a debit card or stimulus check payment can go to the IRS's Check My Payment feature on its website.
If you see on there that a payment was sent out, but you didn't receive it, there's a different number that you can call, 800-919-9835.
The good news is the IRS expects to get all the stimulus payments out ahead of the initial September timeline, and a proposed second round of stimulus checks could go smoother.
There will be some improvement because the IRS has learned some lessons.
I'm Alicia Nieves reporting.
Arby's, we have the meat.
Temperatures in the 60s in the morning. Will warm about 20 degrees from morning low to afternoon high and have plenty of sunshine to go with it. Have another good day. Mark?
All right. Thank you, Kevin. And thank you for joining us for RTV6 News at 11. We hope you have a great night. And a reminder, GMI heads your way at 4:30 tomorrow morning.